Okay, what is your name?
Carin Rodenborn.
Carin Rodenborn. Carin, I noticed in the faculty show, the materials you use are very, very interesting. I know they have a meaning behind it. I don't know if anyone truly knows, but I've always found it really fascinating, especially your placement of the objects you use. Can you explain that?
Well, the materials are traditional painting materials. It was acrylic on linen, and there were stretcher bars, and there were tacks. They just weren't configured in the traditional way where you would traditionally wrap the linen around the stretcher bars and staple them to the back. Instead, I placed the stretcher bars on the wall, and then the linen was tacked out over the stretcher bars, almost as if the stretcher bars were kind of this like heart of the piece, but a skeletal sort of heart. And then the linen, as it expands out beyond the perimeter of the stretcher bars, were like the skin almost, I suppose. And what I was interested in doing was taking the paint outside of that square or rectangle of the stretcher bars, or if it were within the square or rectangle of the stretcher bars, not filling that space. So it was not like filling that space like you would see in a traditional painting. So some of the paint was completely outside of the stretcher bars, and some of it was contained in the stretcher bars, but a different shape. So.
What excites you today, Carin, is in fashion and anything, in art, artists, in music and anything? What drives you today to continue to do what you do? And to be honest, it's really hard for most people to do that. I've noticed, especially checking out your website, that your work has grown. It's shifted towards certain aspects, I guess, in your life. Could you talk about that and what influences you today?
Wow. Well, I have a lot of influences. Certainly, other painters influence me. Painters that were painting before I was even born, and painters that are painting today. And I am really, really influenced by music, definitely. The experience of music and how it relates to the body. I'm very interested in dance.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
Really kind of obsessed with dance at the moment, and that kind of movement of the body and how one can express oneself with the body. And so and in fashion, I don't know how my influences there are right now, how they relate to my painting. But with the music and with the dance and with other painting, I feel like all of those things I like pull into the work somehow, but usually it's kind of a personal reference, even though they don't necessarily appear to be personal on the surface. Typically there's some sort of like kind of autobiographical reference, but that usually comes after the making of it, that I'll relate it to what was coming out subconsciously for me, like in a title or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to be more specific about that?
Well, I guess like who are your favorite dancers? What kind of artists are like music artists? I mean, you showed us that video and I really really enjoyed it. Like the improv,
yeah,
improv dancing, and like you're a dancer yourself. So.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a total amateur, but I am taking a dance class and it's been fantastic. But I got really kind of obsessed with dance last year after watching the documentary by Wim Wenders about Pina Bausch, who was a German choreographer and dancer, and just really fell in love with her works. And so since then I've looked at some other artists, some other movement artists like Trisha Brown, and even locally, Tony Bravo, who is my dance teacher, her dance company, and looking at what they do has been really fun. But I really don't know much about dance at all, except to say that I like the way it can be described as drawing in space, and how the body can relate to like the act of drawing. And so I think that there's like a nice connection there to the visual work that I do.
Yeah.
And I think that the same goes for music. So when I have this experience of music, whether it's a rock show or a bluegrass show or something entirely different. Like I'm really interested in like the Nigerian music of the 70s. I love Bill Callahan, as many people do in the Austin area and beyond. But there's something about being in the presence of live music where your body is so much a part of the experience of that art form that really resonates for me. And I think that is drawn into the painting, and that painting is a really physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
So dance and music and painting to me all have this kind of
honest movement, honest mark, kind of.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
There's a connection there, like the physical connection of movement, and learning about oneself through one's body, and about healing on deeper levels, through the experience of one's body. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, Carin, I guess on closing, where do you see your work going from here, this moment, moving forward? Like, and in the future, do you see yourself experimenting more with this dance, like this movement, this like, or where do you see your work going from here? Is what I'm trying to say. Which is hard because this is one of the hardest questions. Like, how do you predict the future? Do you kind of have like a sort of like a path, or maybe like an idea of what you want to try next or what you want to do next?
You know what? I am really, really working on just trusting my intuition, both in life and in art. And so I can't say that I have a very specific agenda. I do know that I'm going to keep painting and keep making paintings, and I have a feeling that there is going to be a softening of edges and a more expressive sort of presence surfacing in the paintings, or perhaps some sort of crossroads, let's say, of like the edginess of hard edge geometric abstraction and like a more expressive sort of loose kind of way of putting the mark down. I see those things coming together a little bit more in my work. That's one thing that I see. And I also see that I will continue on this thread of exploring painting as an object rather than just an image. I think that it will still, for a while anyway, continue to be about the objectness of painting.
Well, I think we're all pretty excited. I'm excited to see what you do next. And thank you so much, Carin, for your time.
Thanks, Luke.